What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video here on fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. I had a week off as I was on holiday, but today we are back to have a look at a few best transfer targets going into the final 3 game weeks before the World Cup. Of course, the World Cup takes place after game week 16 and we get unlimited transfers, or basically a wild card, which means there's no point looking at any players' fixtures after that, and we only need to focus on the next 3 game weeks in game week 14, 15 and 16. So today I'm going to take you through 5 top transfer targets in a variety of positions, a variety of price points that I think you should consider buying into your FPL team. Those 5 we're going to talk through are Diego Dalot, Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, a differential in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, followed by Marcus Rashford. Manchester United, generally a team that we'll talk about a lot. So let's get into the fixtures first of all of why I've picked these 5 before deep diving into them all. So we've got the fixtures up on here now, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin is probably the name you're already looking at in the 5 transfer targets. The one big differential we've got in there, and you're probably wondering why I'm recommending him. That is because Everton come top of the Fantasy Football Scout fixture ticker over the next 3 weeks. Again, only 3 weeks of information that we need to look at, 14 through to 16 because of the World Cup. Fulham, Leicester and Bournemouth in those 3 for Everton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming back from injury as well could be a really nice option. The other ones that we have looked at, Manchester City and Phil Foden coming in second. Again, a really nice run of fixtures for them. Third, we have Manchester United. Again, they did have that Chelsea fixture in game week 13 that we were hoping and we were looking forward to getting over before we wanted to invest in some of the assets. West Ham, Aston Villa and Fulham in their next 3, both defensively and going forward. They look really solid and some very, very affordable options. And then finally, we have Arsenal, we have Nottingham Forest and Southampton, both at home between now and the World Cup. So a very nice run of fixtures for all of the 4 teams that we are looking from players for. There are other teams on here, some at the bottom of the list like Leicester and Fulham, that we might be a little bit more invested in at the moment. So hopefully we're going to focus on 5 players I think can do really, really well and explode over the next 3 weeks. So we're going to start with Manchester United and Diego Dalot. Again, we've spoken about their fixtures. West Ham this week and 2 green fixtures after that. Diego Dalot has scored 40 points so far this season. 3.6 points per start for a 4.6 million defender is absolutely nothing to complain about. 1 assist and 1.5 expected goal involvement so far this season and no goals so far. So he has slightly underperformed his numbers, and if you look at those fixtures between now and game week 16, if you are looking for a cheap defender, he is probably the one that I would go and buy. Now, you do need to bear in mind the slight caveat with Diego Dalot is he is on 4 yellow cards. If he picks up a yellow card in any of the next 2 games, he will then miss a fixture, which is the only thing to be concerned about. You could also look at his teammate Luke Shaw, who does look to be nailing down that left back spot, with Malacia not performing nearly as well as maybe Ten Hag would have hoped him for, and Manchester United fans would have hoped for him as well. So Luke Shaw looks nailed on that left-hand side, but he is slightly more expensive than you get with Diego Dalot. Diego Dalot, even as a Chelsea fan, I have to say, really impressed me in that match. The attacking threat that he showed getting up that right-hand side, plus the amount of tackles and interceptions he was putting in, he'll do good for bonus points as well for that price. So Diego Dalot, if you're looking for any defender at the moment, there are other rotation-prone options, like you could potentially go in on Tottenham, Perisic, Doherty, Sessegnon or Emerson Royale, although they're rotating and not defending that well. You could go to Arsenal, but they do have a Chelsea fixture in there as well. You could go to Liverpool, but again, mixed performances. So I do like the Manchester United defence with their 3 nice run of fixtures. Next up, we go to Manchester City, and I find it a little bit difficult to talk about Phil Foden after his benching that we got in game week 13. I, like many people, decided to bring in Phil Foden into my team for a 1-point return as Pep Roulette striked. Again, he had a week off, didn't play midweek because there was the game week 12 fixture cancelled, but he still got benched despite his form. Now, I did watch the performances of Grealish and Mahrez and think there's no chance that this keeps Foden out of the team, given how well Foden was performing compared to the other 2. So it may be a slight tactical thing in that game, but I do expect Foden to come back in, and that is why he is in here. 65 points so far this season. He's up to 8.4 million, but still an absolute bargain at his price, I think. 6.4 points per start with 6 goals and 4 assists. Now, he is massively outperforming his expected goal involvement, but you do expect that from a top player like Foden, like Haaland, like Kevin De Bruyne. All of these players, you expect to outperform their numbers. Now, some of you might be thinking, Kevin De Bruyne scored this week. Why am I not talking about Kevin De Bruyne as my midfielder? Now, he's very much more expensive, and Foden at a cheaper price, I do think will match him, if not outperform him over the next 3. Kevin De Bruyne's actual expected goals and the way he's performing in matches is not that great. He scored a screamer in game week 13, but actually the amount of chances he has to score goals is not that high. He tends to be the provider and the assister for Manchester City at the moment. A lot of time assisting Erling Haaland, but also Phil Foden when he's on the pitch is definitely going to be involved. So at a cut price of 4 million less than you have to pay for Kevin De Bruyne, given that Foden has now had his so-called rest or whatever it was that Pep gave him in game week 13, I do think Foden is still my number 1 transfer target given the next 3 fixtures that Manchester City have. If you are looking for a midfielder and you have the price and you have the money for Phil Foden, he is the number 1 option I think I'd buy at the moment. Now we go to another hot game week 13 transfer target that I still think is a fantastic option going into game week 14 as well. And that is Bukayo Saka and Arsenal generally. Now they did drop points for one of the first times this season against Southampton in that 1-1 draw. However, Nottingham Forest and Wolves in their next 3 are 2 really good games that I particularly think the next one against Nottingham Forest, Saka and Arsenal could go and get some good points in there. Again, 64 points so far this season, very similar to Phil Foden, 5.8 points per start. So started slightly more games, so points per start is slightly lower with 4 goals and 5 assists. Again, having expected numbers very similar to what you get with Phil Foden as well. Didn't get anything in game week 13, but he's still a very nice option on some set pieces. Looks like he's on penalties for Arsenal as well. With Gabriel Jesus looking like he could be suspended soon because he is on those 4 yellow cards, along with Diego Dalot, Ivan Toney and a few others as well. I do think going with Bukayo Saka over Gabriel Jesus as your double up, probably with Martinelli, is the route that I would want to go down. As well as this, because Saka does have penalties, he has that extra route to points. Again, goal threat and assist potential he has shown so far this season. Arsenal are one of the best performing teams at the moment. With their qualification, it looks like in Europe as well, they can rotate in their Europa League fixtures, and then Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Jesus are all fit to start all of their Premier League games between now and the World Cup. Now, they will be focusing on that Chelsea fixture, but even then, I do expect there to be chances in that game for Saka and for Arsenal. So, Foden, I'd probably buy over Saka just based on the fixtures, but Saka is definitely one. Given that I've got Foden, Saka is one of my potential transfers in. Again, I spoke about this in my transfer plans video, which came out on my own channel as well. So, go and have a listen to that if you have not already, if you want a bit more detail on Saka and Foden as well. Now, next up, we have our differential in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Hasn't started many games this season, but came back in game week 13 with a goal, which helped Everton reach their 3-0 win. Now, if you haven't subscribed to Fantasy Football Scout already, make sure you go and click that subscribe button and also like the video as well. Thank you all so much for the support on these videos. I hope you are liking this new series that I'm bringing to the YouTube channel this season. So, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, again, Everton come top of the fixture ticker over the next 3 weeks. You don't have to hold them for long, but it is a 3-week punt given those Everton fixtures. If you have Ivan Toney and looking to move him on, for example, I like Calvert-Lewin alongside Mitrovic as my top forward transfer picks at the moment. Only 11 points so far this season, 4.5 points per start with 1 goal and 0 assists. Again, the expected numbers are not there just because of the amount of fixtures he has played. However, Everton have been quietly going about their business over the past few weeks with a good few performances, and Calvert-Lewin coming back to lead the line is only going to make them stronger. He's likely to be on penalties as well as he was before he got injured. It's just a really nice run of fixtures. If you are looking for a bit of a punt, you want a forward in there to replace someone else that you've got up there, like Darwin if he's still injured as well, like if you've got Firmino and you went on the Liverpool guys, or you've got Ivan Toney, for example. I really like Calvert-Lewin as a bit of a differential. You might want to go a bit more mainstream and go for the likes of Schumacher at West Ham or Mitrovic if you don't have him at Fulham, but a bit of a differential in here as well, and definitely one I've got my eye on given their performances and his performance in game week 13. And then the final option, we start and we end in Manchester. Manchester United, we have Marcus Rashford in here. It was very close between going with Anthony, Sancho and Marcus Rashford. However, Rashford playing up front at the moment and is the cheapest of the lot. He was the one that I decided to go and put in here. 6.6 million, 50 points so far this season, 4.9 points per start. His goals and assists have been quite sporadic with 3 goals, 2 assists, and that's quite in line with his expected numbers. Now, the next 3 fixtures are really nice. If Ronaldo is going to continue to be sidelined and Martial is going to remain injured, it will look like Marcus Rashford will continue to lead the line for Manchester United over this run. And of course, a midfielder playing up front, he still gets those 5 points for his goal. He still gets the 3 for the assist, the extra point for a goal and for a clean sheet, despite him playing up front. Now, Antony does look like the main goal threat, but Marcus Rashford, even against Chelsea, did get chances. Definitely a differential that you could go for if you don't necessarily want to punt on Saka, because some of those fixtures are a little bit more difficult and he is very mainstream. I really like what Marcus Rashford and Manchester United could do over the next 3. Now, I will wait for European matches midweek before I make my decision on whether I go Saka or Rashford in my team, and I will wait on Manchester United team news to know if Martial or Cristiano Ronaldo are going to be back for this one. But the fixtures just mean I think there's a bit of a differential in Manchester United's attack, and maybe Marcus Rashford playing up front could be the one to go for. So 5 top transfer targets, 2 for Manchester United, Diego Dalot and Marcus Rashford. We've spoken about a differential in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and then 2 already highly owned midfielders in Phil Foden and Saka that I still think you should be looking to target in your teams. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Fantasy Football Scout as well, and go and check out my channel if you have not already. Again, I upload 3 times a week and have a 2-hour deadline stream every single game week. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe before you go. Good luck in the remainder of Game Week 13 if you have any players in West Ham, Bournemouth, and good luck in Game Week 14 when it does come around, and I'll be back again next week.